Hi, I'm Yani Siskatika from Newcastle University. Today we talk about energy transitions, moving toward the net zero carbon emission in 2050 ambitions. Major energy companies have secured cooperations in renewable energy as a part of their commitment in tackling climate change. Meanwhile, fossil fuel energy and coal remain key business for some countries. Universities in the UK commit divestment from fossil fuels. She focused on investment in renewable energies, even suspend petroleum engineering MSc course. Joining me from London, Ali Papi, petroleum engineer, who achieved his MSc at Imperial College London with another MSc degree in chemical engineering, BSc in health safety and environmental engineering, and over 2 years of work experience in oil and gas companies in Iran. He's now actively looking to PhD positions in the field of geothermal and CCS. Hi, Ali.
Hello, Yani. Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here for this interesting topic on energy transition. And also, I would like to emphasize here that everything I'm about to say is only my personal opinion.
Yeah.
And this is a disclaimer that I want to say is only what I see from my opinion.
Appreciate that. So my first question will be, how do you think the attempt in energy transition on some energy companies' latest operations in renewable energy?
That's an interesting question. Actually, we are seeing recently that most companies are more and more becoming more committed in the environment and the energy transition. They are changing their policies, and so whatever it is, even if it's even they don't really practically believe in this, even if it's like a slogan, only a brand in policy in their website, this is precious, and I think this is valuable. This shows that this global effort is paying off, and this shows that we have started this from people and non-governmental organizations all over the world. They brought this environmental awakening, and this is very fortunate. Recently, we can't see anymore no companies putting an advertisement on their website, on the outlet, on news outlets. For example, saying like, okay, we found this much amount of oil, we have this much amount of reserves, we exploit this much oil, without putting some clauses, some clauses about environment, about energy transition, about zero emission, about CCS, carbon capture. So I see this very fortunate, and so this is different. So some companies, you can even see this, they reflect it even in their names. For example, we have Equinor. So it used to be Statoil. They said, okay, like a couple of years ago, they said, okay, we are not oil anymore. We are not only oil. So they removed Statoil from Statoil to Equinor. And other companies, but in some less developed countries, it's not that much developed. So maybe they are like third world countries or developing countries. Maybe they don't produce as much, so they don't have much commitments. But sooner or later, we will see this spread to those companies as well. We see them also adopting zero emission policy.
How do you think about the future of petroleum engineering and geoscience with regards to this net zero agenda or decarbonization's efforts?
Thank you for the question. Actually, it's a very interesting question. I was asked the same question a while ago. So recently we are seeing more universities and institutions. They are even divesting from petroleum. For example, the most recent one is Imperial College London, my college, where I studied. The course that I was studying in last year, they're gonna stop this. The next year they stop the geoscience engineering, and the year after they will stop my course. So both MSc courses in petroleum engineering, they are gonna stop it. And actually more institutions like IFP in France and other countries, they are kind of shifting from petroleum to other environmentally friendly solutions. So we have, for example, for the Imperial College, they will stop it and then they will work on geoenergy, geothermal, CCS, hydrogen storage. So about your question, I think the future for petroleum and geoscientists, at least for the short term, we are still needed. So if we think now as the start of a transition up until some point, whatever it is, 2050 or beyond, for this period, our expertise is needed because because of two reasons. We are still relying on petroleum, and also if we want to transition from geoscience, from petroleum to CCS or other subjects, this is all the same discipline that we have in petroleum. We have it in other things, which is subsurface. Subsurface stays the same, so this knowledge we can still integrate it into other environmentally friendly subjects. So the other point that I wanted to mention here is so one of my friends once asked me this question, and they said, like, what happens to petroleum engineers in the future? And I had an answer for it, which is maybe for long term. So I said, what happened to the coal engineers? What happens to the coal industry? We remember, or maybe I don't, but many people may remember from last century, we had an industrial revolution in coal. We had a transition from coal to fossil fuel. So I think this transition is happening from fossil fuel, from petroleum to other more environmentally friendly subjects. So I think in the long run, petroleum engineers maybe take time, but in the end we will shift to other expertise like geothermal energy, carbon capture, sequestration, hydrogen storage, but the knowledge and expertise is always going to be required and needed. So we're not going to be wasted, actually. So our future still stays the same in the both.
As a petroleum engineer, how to maximize your expertise to support this net zero agenda to lowering carbon emission, and in terms of involvement in the carbon capture storage, the reservoir management?
For this, I would say two solutions for us to go ahead to increase our expertise and experience and knowledge to apply into zero carbon emission. I name it two solutions. One I would name to adapt, and the other one is to transition. For adapting, I would say, like, we don't need to stop oil production, but we do actively and input and put back the same amount of pollution that we are producing. We put the same amount back. Okay, so we don't stop it because we are not ready yet, because our vehicles, our petroleum cars, or even like all our objects, products around us, they are from petrochemical products that come from oil, so we are not ready yet. So I would say we try to adapt. So how we adapt? We produce oil, but the same amount of pollution we have to put pollution underground. We take the subsurface, this from subsurface, and we need
subsurface.
This happens from CCS, carbon capture and sequestration, or we can use them both together. So carbon capture, utilization, storage. So we produce oil using injecting carbon CO2. So this CO2 goes underground and some of it stays down there, and we produce oil. This is a solution. And the other one, I would say, to transition. So actually we actively start transition ourselves. So how we do that? We don't produce oil. We stop producing oil and we shift to other sources of energy. I have two examples for this. One is geothermal energy, and the other one is hydrogen. Geothermal energy is in the field of subsurface. So still the same knowledge, the same petroleum knowledge. And this time we inject a fluid, whatever, CO2 or water, and produce heat. So this time we produce energy, and we use that heat to heat our houses, or to produce electricity using some regenerators, and we add that electricity to our power grids. And this is in the field of subsurface, and also we can integrate it with CCUS, so we can also inject CO2 and produce heat. Instead of producing oil, which is carbon based and which is dirty, we use the energy that comes from underground, because underground is hot. And the other one is hydrogen. So this one is like it's not subsurface, surface knowledge that I am interested in, because I have also chemical engineering base. I recently noticed there is a project ongoing in north of England, actually where you are, close to Newcastle and all those areas. They are supplementing, they are changing the domestic energy. Right now we are using gas to burn and heat up our houses, but they are changing this gas to hydrogen. So for example, if gas is methane, it has carbon, they are changing it with hydrogen. So when you burn hydrogen, you burn H2, which oxygen. The production is H2O, which is water. So you burn, you produce heat, and you produce water, which is steam, and you release the steam outside, and it is carbon free, and nothing happens. These are some examples of how we can adapt, and how we can have better knowledge, make better experiences. I said like either to adapt or transition. So these are some examples I can present.
And what can we do to start tackling climate change or this low carbon emission? I mean, not every people are into or are aware of this, right? But as individual, what can we do?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, actually. I have something to say about that. Last year, I want to raise a critique to some of our fellow environmentalists. So on the both sides, environmentalists and petroleum engineers, we have on the both sides some extremes, okay? So I would consider myself in between, because I have my bachelor's in health, safety, environment. So I'm not far from environment, yeah. And both my masters in petroleum engineering. So I'm in between. But there are some people on the extremes that they don't let the dialogues to happen. And for example, some environmentalists say like, okay, we have to stop it right now, okay, to like divest right now, or such and such. More than 100 years we have petroleum and oil, and everything we have is based on it. So I agree that we have to move, but we have to adapt, we have to transition. We can't just stop it. So I would say personally, what we can do as an individual, we should increase the dialogues, we should bring these two together, open some conversations, and to understand each other, and to make a better understanding of what we want and what we can do in practice, so that we can make a path, a solution, like a roadmap out of this. So this is what I think we can do individually. Last year I had a friend in one of the environmental societies called Imperial. At Imperial College, they believe like we have to divest from petroleum engineering at Imperial College. So actually we stopped the course, we are stopping it, but we didn't divest, shifting, we are changing to cleaner, to more environmentally clean. For this transition to happen, we need the petroleum engineers. I think it was very beautiful word to say. We need to work together to make a solution out of this. So, because after all, this is us that are working in the energy sector. You have to find a way out of this. And you may not believe me, but in my program last year, the number of people who were interested in energy in clean energy, and they were kind of even more caring about the environment than other people. There were many people in my program. So this is not like, okay, we are this and you are that. So we are all the same, and we need to be more open-minded and find a practical solution. And we all care about our environment, our future, and our next generation. So this is what we can do as individuals.
Thank you so much, Ali, for this inspiring interview.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy and glad to be here with you. I hope you enjoyed it.